Also, if you don't want to be annoying, stupid tourist, don't ride these on the bridge, please. Because it's illegal, you will be fined, but you don't care. This around me is Prague, and from here to get to Paris, it's only a day drive, which is exactly what we did a couple days ago with Honza. And we observed different things, little differences between Paris and Prague, and we would like to compare those in today's video. That thing behind me, most photographed piece of clock in our country, in our city, and it's covered with a little fence. The reason is, I guess, so the pigeons won't poop on it. Well, in France, in Paris, the most photographed thing is definitely the Eiffel Tower, and they covered that with a bulletproof glass. Obviously not the entire tower, but the base of it, so you cannot walk under it unless you go through a security checkpoint. I'm not a big fan of that. I remember back in the days when I was in Paris, you could freely walk under the tower. You could look from below without having to go through security or through lines and so on. So I think this is better, even though I don't think it's necessary. And just to explain myself why I hate any type of barrier in a public space, they're always very easy to put in, but it's very hard to get rid of them. For example, here, this statue used to be open to people. You could go and sit on the statue. I mean, if you look at it, it was designed for it. But then something happened, somebody put a barrier here, and it's been here for 35 years. I don't think we're ever gonna get rid of it. Wouldn't you rather sit over there? Yeah, it would be nice, right? By the way, the last time I actually saw someone here on that platform is when we won the championship in ice hockey. It was held here in Prague, and when the hockey players came to celebrate to the square, they were allowed to go on that. It was really cool. Now, one thing that Paris has in common with Prague is mass tourism and a lot of tourists. And usually, when there's mass tourism, there's also this, the Euronet ATMs that do different tricks how to get money out of tourists in extra fees and different commission charges. Now in Prague, there's hundreds of these. Lots of tourists, lots of Euronet ATMs. In Paris, there's 2. We could physically saw one, and I just couldn't understand it. I thought to myself, this is wrong, this is weird. Usually when I travel to a touristy mass destination, there's these things. So we Googled, and we eventually found an answer to the question, why no Euronets? The answer is that in France, you could not build independent company ATM. They always had to be associated or have to be with a bank. So we would see banks with ATMs, but not guys like these. Now, the rule has changed just recently, so maybe on your future visit, there will be more Euronet ATMs around Paris. Don't expect any new large constructions or buildings in Prague, but I can guarantee you this, there will be no kick scooters on the sidewalks in Prague. Now, those are not my words, those are the words of the Prague mayor. I guess he's not fulfilling them anytime soon. But we're in a video where we're comparing the situation to Paris, and we can do a straight comparison because in Paris, you will not see these electric scooters. And the reason is, I guess they have more power in Paris than we do in Prague, but they actually did a referendum among Parisians, and they said no. And the no was very strong because 90% of people voted to ban these electric scooters. And I'm not talking about private ones. If you own your own scooter, you can still ride it in the city. I'm talking about the ones that are being rented out, mostly to tourists. Now, if there was a referendum in Prague about these scooters, I do not know how it would end, but I also don't know any locals that would use them. Number one, they're very, very expensive compared to the bike sharing we have in the city. So thumbs up to Paris and thumbs down to all the people renting these scooters in Prague and riding them on the sidewalk. I understand it. You can't really ride them on the Prague cobblestones. That's why you choose the sidewalk, but hey, that's illegal. I'm in Paris right now with Honza, about to rent a bicycle. So I go up to the station here, I download the app. I notice that the app has 1-star rating and all the comments are, it doesn't work. I'm like, all right, let's try it. And I open it and it doesn't work. It says error. And then Honza punches into me and he goes, just open Surfshark and put yourself in France. I'm like, well, I am in France, but for some reason, despite that, somehow they know that I'm on a Czech SIM card and they wouldn't allow me to do this. So I opened the Surfshark app, put myself in France, and suddenly it started to work. I could not believe it. I don't think I can give you a better example where Surfshark can help you on your travels. You can get it on your phone, on your computer, unlimited devices, and you get 4 months for free if you use the code HONESTGUIDE. Here's the link to download it through the QR code, or it's below the video. So thank you, Surfshark, and thanks to you, I can ride a bike in Paris. We moved to a different topic, even though it doesn't look like it, and that is access to drinkable water. Now, water is drinkable in most of Europe. It is in Paris and it is in Prague, and usually you want a little fountain where you can fill up your water bottle or simply take a sip of water. And I've seen those all around Paris. Yeah, we don't have too many of those in Prague. We have something different, something special that the city is now installing all around, and that's this. It's called a straw, and it sprays water. It only sprays the water when it reaches certain temperature outside, and then a very little spray of water is being, sprayed around. But you can't drink it. Now, I do know why these are being installed around. They're very cheap to purchase, I guess, and they're super easy to install. You simply put them on wherever the water is in the sidewalk. But again, you can't drink from them, which I think you should be able to when you roam a city. Oh, and by the way, when I mentioned that it sprays water, this one, well, it's supposed to cool you down when it's hot. Unfortunately, in this case, you can't even walk by it because there's all these scooters here. So its only purpose is to, I guess, water the scooters and also the sidewalk. That's why there is grass right here. This is genius. Not only you get free water access almost everywhere in Paris, but you also get free access to restrooms, to toilets. And I was shocked by that. They are almost everywhere, in parks, on squares, streets, I would say in a fairly nice city design. And the fact that they're free is great. In Prague, there are very few public restrooms, and almost always you have to pay to use them. So right now I'm actually standing on a square where there are public restrooms, but I'm also standing from a place that in the morning smells so bad with urine that it's almost impossible to walk through. Now, Paris may not have electric touristy shared scooters, but it does have different type of scooters, and it's a regular scooter. And compared to Prague, there is a lot of them. Whenever I go to any major city in Europe, I'm always stunned by the fact that they use scooters because it makes sense. It's something that's super easy to park, usually for free, for example here in Prague. It's something that's much faster than public transport, than bicycles, and then cars, because you're not stuck in traffic. They actually even have a special sign in Paris that I was like, whoa, I love that sign. You can legally go in the middle of traffic, but you gotta go only 50 kilometers an hour. It's like, that's fast enough for me. Now, why don't we have so many scooters in Prague as they have in Paris? I don't know. The temperature is roughly the same in winter, yet you can still use proper gear and ride your scooter in the winter. There's more rainy days in Paris than in Prague, so I do not know what the answer is. Maybe it's just the simple fact that people don't want to sit in traffic. I would never drive a car around Prague when there's traffic. You don't want to sit in traffic. It's boring. There's nothing more boring than to sit in traffic. And these guys are the solution. They know that in Paris. So if somebody in my city, in Prague, is saying the traffic is terrible here, I don't think it's that terrible because we haven't started using these as they do in other major cities. By the way, this bad boy is mine. I'm standing in front of one of my favorite restaurants on this street. And yes, they do have a little patio, but it could be bigger. They could accommodate more guests. And in Paris, they solved this. They gave up few parking spots once in a while in each street, and they use them for the restaurant. Now, one parking spot is a lot of space that can accommodate a lot of people to drink or to eat. And I really like the idea. Paris is not the first city where I saw this, I believe, great idea. I've seen it in New York, where these spots were popping up after COVID because people had to eat outside. They couldn't use the inside of the restaurant. So I would say this is one of the good things that was left after COVID. these were just some random picks to compare things in Paris and Prague. But how does your city compare to others? Do you have something that can apply to other cities and would improve life in them? And if so, would you mind sharing in the comments? I like to use hashtag inspiration for Prague when I travel and I see something like, hey, we can just take this and, you know, steal it in a way, the good idea. And I believe cities should share good ideas. So let us know in the comments. And believe it or not, but we actually did film more stuff in Paris. So we will share that with you on some future videos. I'll see you then. Let me teach you a nice Czech word in the end, and that is how to say straw. We use the word brčko. Brčko is a straw.